Alright, YouTube. Well, I decided to change my mind about these throttle shaft bushings, and I also found out another error that I made in the last video. So this is going to be episode 8 part 2, and I'm just going to kind of show you what I'm going to do to replace the bushings in the throttle shaft, and then after I finish that, I'll go upstairs and explain to you the other error I found. But I've already kind of started here. I know, I'm sorry I didn't show the whole thing, but I figured with an hour-long video last time, you probably had enough of it. But basically, in the throttle body here, you've got your throttle shaft journal, I'll call it, the area where your throttle shaft slides through. What I did was I took and drilled out the cap on the choke side of the throttle body, and then I tapped it with a 3/8/16 tap, and I did the same thing on the other side here. So now I can thread a 3/8/16 bolt into the bushing, and what I'll do is I'll take a 1/4-inch punch and I'll slide it through the throttle shaft, and I'll punch that bushing out of one side, and then I'll flip the carburetor over and thread the bolt in and punch it out the other side, and then reverse just to press in the new bushings. Obviously you don't need to use a punch or a tap, but you'll just gently tap them in with a punch. So let's see if this method will work here. I hope it will. It was recommended to me by one of the forum members on yesterday's tractors. So let's see here. The question is, do I have a 1/4-inch punch? Well, this will work. It's an old drill bit I've got, but it'll work. So we'll just slide it down in there. Make sure it's tight. And just like that. Now, you've got to pay attention before you tap these bushings, because on the front side of the carburetor, where it bolts into the governor linkage, there's 2 holes in this bushing. I don't know if you can see them, but they face down at opposite angles. So they face, you know, if the carburetor was flat like this, the throttle body, those 2 holes would face down at about 30-degree angles. So just make sure you pay attention to that. So we'll thread this into the other side. Clamp it back in the vise. Doesn't seem like it wants to move much on this other side here. I think it's going, it's just going slowly. There we go. Just like that. And the other side, the bushing on the other side doesn't have any of those holes in it. It's just a solid bushing. So that's all there is for that. I'll have to clean this up with, it left some residue from the that rag I've got, so I gotta clean it up here. Just so the surface is nice and clean. Kind of blow whatever metal shavings that were in it out. And just gonna put this back in here. Let me go get the bushings, the new bushings off the table. They're upstairs, obviously. I always forget everything upstairs, but let me do that really quick. Okay, and I also grabbed the bowl of the carburetor to explain the next part that I kind of gave you some wrong information on, so I got to apologize for that. I just want to, you know what, I'm going to put just a little bit of assembly lube on this bushing just to help it slide into place. I'm going to put the bushing without holes, so the one that goes into the choke side of the throttle body, put that in first. And that will fit just perfect. Essentially, you're just tapping this new bushing into place. See, this is actually a it's the chuck that threads into this 3M adhesive stripper wheel. But basically anything that you can use as a punch that fits inside the bore of the bushing and is preferably smaller than the outside bore of the bushing will work great. And if you've never used one of those 3M adhesive stripper wheels, I highly recommend getting one. So that one's firmly in place, and then we put the cap on the front side here. Got it going a little crooked there, but that's okay. We can start over.
These little brass caps are always kind of a pain. You gotta be a little careful because they bend easily. They are brass. So. Going crooked again. I'll just have to. No, I dropped the darn thing now. Oh, there it is. That's not where I want it to go. It's inside the fuel inlet there. These things are such a picky little item. If you tweak them just a little bit, they don't want to go down right. So. And I may have already done that, but hopefully I can get it. There we go. There we go. And I'm just going to tap it down. Till it's lightly seated. And you can hear when it seats into that brass bushing. You can hear when it makes contact with it. So there's one side done. Now we'll do the other side here. And just trying to find a, well, not a huge deal, but I was just looking for the other bushing, the old bushing.
That's right, I got it figured out. So we want those two holes. If this is the bottom of the carburetor, we want those two holes pointing down and out towards the bottom of the carburetor. Oh, forgot to put some lube on it. Just a little bit, not much. Don't want to have any excess on there, but just enough to keep it from binding, basically. I can kind of see where both of those holes are. And we're started just fine. So and again, we'll be able to hear that seat. You'll hear the tapping will go from a lower tone of tap to a higher tone. So see how that is a lot higher tone of tap? That's how we know we're bottomed out on the seat. So that's new seat or new bushings for the throttle shaft. So that's that. Now we can reassemble the throttle shaft in there. But the confusion that I was having in getting Now this is the bottom half, the bowl of the carburetor. The confusion I was having was in the load jet of the carburetor. This goes into the main nozzle inside the center of the carburetor. You can see, I'm not sure if you can, but the load jet goes through the bowl and down into the bottom of the main feed in the carburetor. And what I didn't know, because it's not listed in the instructions of the rebuild kit, but if you see this nylon or plastic bushing, that goes inside of here and the jet or the needle slides through it. But I didn't know that the old one was still in there. So I'm going to try to dig that the rest of the way out. I've already been working at it with a screwdriver, but I think it'd be better just to use a drill bit gently to get that out. Because I don't want to drill into the body of the carburetor. And I think that just about did it. And it's like a plastic nylon, can't really describe it to you, but I'm going to see if I can't see. This thing is really thick. And you kind of got to scrape this crap out of here. This old one. So I mean, the screwdriver worked, it's just, it doesn't work very well. And you try to do it without damaging the threads that are down in here, so. Because that fitting for the needle has to thread into there. So kind of gotta stay away from those threads. There we go. Now I think we made some progress. So let's see where we're at here. Oh yeah, much better. So we'll put that bushing in there, then we can thread our got our fitting in, and I'm going to put the needle in just to stabilize this fitting. But you kind of just tighten it down snug, because you still want to be able to turn this needle. I may have tightened it just a little much here. Loosen it about a half turn just to get it. So there we're at, bottomed out. Half. One. And a half. And I'm just gonna tighten the fitting for good measure here. So, alright, there we go. So our needle's back in place with the fitting and that brand new nylon insert. So we'll go back upstairs. I'm going to stop the camera. We'll go back upstairs and reassemble the carburetor, but that's all there is to it. New bushings for the throttle shaft, and the geez, I forgot what I was saying already. The load or main fuel mixture screw. Alright, let's go back upstairs. Alright, so we're back upstairs. Roxy wants to say hi to you. Oh, nope, she's camera shy. She's more interested in what's going on outside. But anyway, we're back inside and put the carburetor back together here. Make sure everything's out of there, all the dust and junk. So alright. And like I said, I think I'm just going to clear coat this whole carburetor the way it is. I'm not, I kind of like this raw steel look. So, and the manifold I'll probably paint black. The governor tube, that's I believe it's cast aluminum is what it is. So I'll probably just clean that up real nice and clear coat that as well. So that's back together. This is the fuel inlet with screen. Goes into the front side of the carburetor here, or choke side of the carburetor. It's a 5/8 fitting. And there's a gasket on there as well. So just put that in and snug it up. That's in. And now we can drop the throttle shaft into place. Or insert it rather. Oh, should slide right into place here. Maybe you have to ream these bushings out just a hair. It goes halfway in, so maybe if I just give it a light. Just tap it in. There we go. Just a little stubborn is all. Just had to work it through the sticky spot there. Oh, that is much, much, much better when it comes to the bushings. That is much better. Much better. It's going to be like a brand new carburetor. Should be. Everything in it is new except for the castings. Oop. Pushed a little too hard on it. Flip that butterfly open. And one of my forum members on yesterday's tractors wanted me to make sure that this butterfly on the throttle closes off the throat all the way when it's closed, because you can get these butterflies in a little bit backwards. So when you close this butterfly, make sure that it closes the throat completely. But in the instructions it calls also to have this idle screw backed out 3 turns from the stop. So there's bottomed out, half, 1, bottomed out, half, 2. Oh, hold on. I said bottomed out, I think, instead of a number. So bottomed out, half, 1, half, 2, half, 3. So that'd be 3 turns from bottomed out. And it doesn't allow it to close all the way, but we can always adjust that on the tractor too. So this is just what the rebuild kit instructions call for. But there it is. Brand new carburetor. That was all there was to it. So sometimes it takes me a couple tries, but you know, like I said, I took this carburetor apart a month ago, over a month ago now, and I just got it just got the rebuild kit now, and putting it back together, I just kind of forgot where some things go. But an easy way to remember these screws, these jet screws, is the one that comes to a point, you know, a needle point. That's your main fuel supply jet or screw. And the one that is blunt on the end goes into the throttle body, and that's your idle control, your idle mixture screw. This is your idle speed screw, and that is just a threaded machine screw with a spring on it. But this winged one, that's your drain, so you crack it open to drain your bowl. But that's it. So you got your main or your load jet, your idle jet, which is blunt, your main jet is pointed, and this is your idle speed screw. So that's all there is to it. Sorry it took me an hour in the last video and 15 minutes in this video, 20 minutes, however long it's been, but I'm glad I could go through this experience with you guys, because like I said, mistakes are just the reality of it. And yeah, it's done. So now we're just waiting on the engine block and the head to come back, and we can start the reassembly of the rest of the tractor. So stay tuned. I'll give you guys some updates when I get them, and as always, thanks for watching. Alright, take care and happy Easter.